Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to arguably one of the toughest team talks we've ever had to do. Lots has gone on behind the scenes, but all that matters is you guys are watching us. And we are joined by the Blues Brothers in the corner over here.
Hey, the Vicars of Football Daily.
Yes.
How are we doing, Dougie Mikey?
All good, all good. You guys will see God after this.
Hey! We covering anything else?
No, not really.
Okay, cool. Sam, you've just come back from Thailand. How was it?
It was incredible. I suggest everyone goes there.
What were you doing over there, man?
I was just enjoying Thailand.
I bet you were. Joe Thomason, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Really good.
Good to hear it. I'm glad to hear it. Well,
are crazy.
without further ado, let's get on to the first question. All right, guys, you know this format: start, bench, sell. It's as simple as that. Didier Drogba, Fernando Torres, Robin van Persie. Now, these are at their peak, okay? Think of them at their peak. That's when you are looking
So,
towards
like their
them.
best ever season.
Essentially,
Their
yeah.
best ever
yeah.
season.
So Didier Drogba, Fernando Torres, Robin van Persie. Start, bench, sell.
Any chance, Mikey? Yeah, coming.
It's like for dinner. It's like for dinner.
Coming.
Gonna put it under the microphone, Mikey.
Yeah, cool, got it.
All right, 3, 2, 1, reveal. Torres at the top. Bottom.
Torres
Start
at
us
the
off
top?
with Fernando. Why is he top?
Torres at the top, yeah. Torres.
Starting Torres.
Yeah, I think Torres was the best number 9 in the world at his peak. I don't know whether the other two were at any point in their career necessarily. That's why I've gone for it. Their peak. Torres. Yeah, I mean, I guess he didn't win. You know, he didn't win like the Champions League at Liverpool, but he did win he was instrumental in Spain's Euros victory in 2008 around that time. Yeah, I think Torres was the most highly rated number 9 in world football at that point, and I just think Drogba, as you know, Drogba at his peak was amazing, probably the best number 9 in the Premier League, but I don't think he got to the level of Torres. I think Van Persie, again, like his peak was amazing, but it wasn't quite as, the best Van Persie did was a Premier League. I think Van Persie and Drogba could be around the same, but I think Van Persie, what wins it for Van Persie over Drogba is I just think Van Persie as a striker of the ball had better technique.
I think Van Persie's all-round game, man. You think back to that 2-year period before he just joined Manchester United, obviously when he won the Premier League with Manchester United around that 2012 period. The season before when the Arsenal were the absolute gutter worst, when Man United stuck 8 on them, beat him 8-2, I think you have to say that Van Persie was the outstanding striker in the Premier League. I think put up close to 40 goal involvements in a rubbish Arsenal team, then left Arsenal.
It was still an Arsenal
and
team
single-handedly won the Premier League for United. So I think in a 2-year period, we're probably talking about either the second or third best 2-year period of any European striker in the last decade.
I agree with Joe. I think Drogba had the best big game impact out of all of them, though.
But why is that?
But he was averaging 12.5 goals a season. I don't think.
Yeah, no, that's why
this
I don't
is
have
at their
many
peak,
high.
though.
No,
That's what I'm talking about. You're looking at their peak.
This is what I really detest around the conversation about Drogba. Everyone says, big games. We know he scored in most of the finals he played in, but he also had a couple of seasons where he scored over 25 goals. When he did also
his
go
highest
to the,
ever
when
goals,
he also
goals
went to the
tally at
African
Chelsea didn't hit 30.
It was 29. It was 29, and it was in the same season where he went to the African Cup of Nations for a month, and he still got 29 goals and just under 10 assists.
RVP hit 30 playing for an Arsenal team that had Johan Djurou in it.
But then you also have to add the clutchness into it. So Drogba
and RVP wasn't clutch. No, didn't win Man United league title.
Yeah, that was one league title. We're talking about if that's what I'm saying. Drogba had a few primes. Like he had a few primes where, yes, in between those primes, there was a few seasons where Lampard was the main goal scorer, or there was other players that input. But when Drogba was the main striker and the main goal threat at Chelsea, bro, we were winning everything, and that's just a fact. Like Champions Leagues, Premier Leagues, FA Cups finals, Carling Cups, Carabao, man did it all. Van Persie, yes, fair enough. He did one season where he won the league.
2 seasons in a row. In that 2-season period, I can only really think of either Luis Suarez or Lewandowski who've had a better 2-year period in the last decade. In the last decade,
I'll be honest. Yeah, I think it is close between RVP
Benzema's
and
Ballon
Drogba,
d'Or year.
I don't think it
They
was
won the
in that
Champions
2-year
League
period. I don't think he was.
Where
as
he
good
won
as
the Champions
RVP.
League single-handedly.
No, I don't think he was.
I
as
think
good as
that's a
RVP.
big statement. I think it's a wrong statement.
Wow.
I think
I think Van Persie. I think you've got a point in the Premier
He's
League.
saying 2 years though, because
I think
the
in
one.
2-year
But
period.
Benzema the year before that was brilliant as well. I think
What
this
were
is
the other two
probably
saying?
Can I ask why
Six
Torres
or-
is bottom for you?
I think Torres, it's difficult, isn't it? Because his peak was maybe 18 months to 2 years, whereas I think Van Persie, for maybe even longer than the 2 seasons that Joe's talking about, was excellent. I think Drogba was best across an entire period, but that's mainly due to injuries. Like Van Persie had quite a few really bad injuries, and so to come back at the level he was really impressive. But I think as Joe says, I think those 2 seasons were better than any 2 seasons that Drogba put together.
Yeah, I think only Lewandowski, when he went treble, Ballon d'Or, should have won the Ballon d'Or. Obviously, it was cancelled that year. And also Luis Suarez, when he went treble and then went 60 goals the season after, can touch RVP on those 2 seasons.
I just think it's just unfair to look at Drogba's prime times and say that.
What was Drogba's prime then? Give me one season that was his prime.
09-010, bro. He was incredible, bro.
Like,
you can't.
He was amazing. He was amazing, but he didn't put up the numbers that RVP did. He didn't have the all-round game that RVP did.
He did. He had 29 or so goals, and he had like around 10 assists, and he went to the African Cup of Nations during that period. He had a month off, basically.
Really good, yeah.
Like, bro, you can't.
I'm not denying Drogba was an amazing player, but
then
all-round game was not as good as RVP.
But then on top of that, why I feel like it's unfair is because those seasons where he wasn't scoring, let's say 20 plus goals, it's not like he was non-existent. He was still contributing to the team. He was still a handful for multiple defenses. His role was just a little bit different. He had other players around him that were contributing goals, and in those prime times when it really mattered, he still turned up and scored in those finals. So you can't look past that and say, because he had Van Persie had a free hit at Arsenal where they won nothing, but he scored loads of goals, and then the United.
No, but it's undeniable that it's harder to do it at Arsenal when your midfield is not Frank Lampard and co behind you.
He got
RVP
about
still
15 assists,
putting up 40 goal involvements in that team.
I think also
Do you not reconsider McCubbs?
not particularly. I think we need to talk about Torres though more. I think that's the fact that he did.
Torres deserves a bit more prop, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think he's great.
I think in the time that he was that good, I just can't remember. Like, what did Liverpool achieve? That's
Push United close to a
but that's not. Yeah,
that's it.
It's literally the best Liverpool team of the Premier League era before Klopp. Like they achieved that. That's the most impressive Liverpool team before Klopp.
SAS team.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it is.
No.
They got more points. I think.
Insane.
Yeah, they were better, and I think Torres was the leader of that. And yeah,
wait, so the team was better than the SAS team, and it didn't achieve much.
Well, they ran a very good United side.
But the SAS team didn't achieve anything.
But that's what I'm saying.
Literally
So
didn't achieve anything.
go back to the board, and if you're comparing it to players that have scored loads of goals and actually contributed to winning trophies, how can Torres be top? They all scored goals in their periods of
but Torres was just a better. Torres was one of the key players in that Spain team that kicked off the most dominant era we've seen from any international team since Brazil in the 1960s. And I just think he was a better footballer than both of those at their peak. I think he was a better footballer. I think his all-round game.
All right.
The goals that he scored more crazy goals from mad angles and whatnot than
that one against Blackburn.
How many goals RVP scored?
Yeah. RVP scored some amazing goals as well, but Torres did score some ridiculous goals.
Okay, guys, I never do this. I'm going to give a point all round. I think everyone really argued their case pretty well. So I'm going to give a point all round. Or give no points all round, because that's essentially the equivalent. On to our next one. Now, we saw this on Twitter with a photo involving 2 of these players. We were then arguing it in the group chat. I'm going to be interested to see what happens here. Start bench cell. Madders, Odegaard, Bruno Fernandes.
That's a great one.
God.
It's really easy, man.
Is this currently or at their best?
At their peak.
At their peak. At their peak. I think that's how you always look at these players.
This is so easy, man.
In 3, 2, 1, reveal.
Yeah.
Odegaard top,
Bruno top
4
over Odegaard.
2.
Wow.
Bruno for both of you. Yeah. So quickly, Madders bottom. Now I do want to say, originally when this happened, it was about a photo for Odegaard and Maddison, and Joe straight away was like, who would ever think this, that Odegaard is
at their peak? I just don't think he's hit the heights that Odegaard has hit.
When me and Dougie kind of came back, we were actually
it wasn't mental.
It wasn't a mental claim to say that Maddison was not that far off of what Odegaard did or has been. Anyway, that was how this
I
first
thought someone was
started.
going to put Bruno bottom, to be honest.
Quickly then. All right. Dougie.
You know what? Sorry. The reason why, because this could be the opposite for me, but I'm just going off of them being the best that I've seen them, yeah? And for me, when Bruno first came, you can't deny how inevitable and how he literally carried Manchester United in a period where they they needed a player like him to do what they were doing. I can't even remember the goal contributions or the numbers, but I remember it was just stupid. Odegaard, I think now he's kicking into that kind of form where he's consistently performing well for Arsenal. He's become one of their key creators. He's doing everything off the ball, on the ball. He's incredible. And now, because of the fact that they challenged for the Premier League last season, and it looks like they're going to be doing the same this season, he's going to be at the heart of that. Maddison is just tough because he's now moved to Spurs. Leicester, he was incredible, but it's like, I'm not downplaying it being Leicester, but the reality is, if you're at a club where you're not necessarily asked to challenge for Champions League spots or asked to challenge for the league, it's a bit, you don't have that much weight that Bruno has at Manchester United or Odegaard at Arsenal. So that's why I put him bottom.
All right.
Ability wise, he's still
so why have you gone Bruno over Odegaard when Odegaard was quite frankly outrageous last year?
Because of Bruno's peak that I've seen. That's why I asked specifically for the peak, because Bruno at that time, you can't deny it. And I'm not even like the biggest fan. We've had loads of debates around Bruno. When he's off form, he is not good enough. Yeah,
he's very rarely off form.
But he has games where I guess it's not necessarily down to him. It might be down to United and how he's being played or whatever. But when United aren't playing well, I rarely see him nowadays be that guy to like kick them into action, especially now that he's
did it the other day against Nottingham Forest when United were playing so badly.
Not in Forest though. I'm talking about them playing against the top 9 sides.
But United are a significantly worse side than Arsenal as well. I think Bruno Fernandes, I think it was close to a goal contribution for his first 50 games for United. He still hasn't missed a game with injury in his entire career. It is absolutely frightening what he's done for Man United, and there's now Man United fans blaming him as one of the key reasons behind MLAs. Yeah. I just don't get it. I think he's phenomenal, and yes, Odegaard is coming into that period, but he's not there quite yet in terms of that consistency of Bruno just yet. And Maddison, the same story.
I think right now he's more consistent than Bruno.
Interesting that the two United fans
better side
have got Odegaard top.
But I think you can say better side, but I think Odegaard is a massive reason they're a better side. I think he's massively influential on that team, given that he's 2 years younger than both of the people we're comparing him against. I think it's pretty surprising. And I don't know what more Odegaard physically could have done to be at number one.
I think just do it for a bit longer is my only point. I think Bruno had a longer
15 goals in the Prem last season, was it?
But
I think that's absolutely incredible.
His goals as well, non-penalty goals as well, and like, I think people over-egged it, but Bruno did take penalties.
A lot of penalties. At that time.
Odegaard's non-penalty goals last year, I think, is the highest ever by a midfielder. Is it
in the Premier League? Yeah, I think so.
Let's say it is for the purpose of argument. It's either first or second, but anyway, yeah, I just think Odegaard has shown a higher technical level than I've seen from Bruno last year. And playing in a more technical team for sure, but in some ways, I don't know if you put Bruno in there, whether he shows a higher technical level than Odegaard. I think it's telling that Arteta was confident enough to just change, like basically swap out 2 players in that midfield from last season and put 2 new players in there this season, because he's so confident in Odegaard's ability to dictate in front of them.
I don't know. The only down period Bruno's ever had at United was when Cristiano Ronaldo was there, though. He's been phenomenally consistent for 4 years.
He has been brilliant. I think if you want to look at longevity of peak or whatever, then fine. But like, I don't think you can really. I feel like that's unfair on Odegaard, because Odegaard is going to be like amazing for the next 6-7 years, barring injuries. Like, and he was arguably the best player in, an Arsenal side which, took City, almost to the level that those Jurgen Klopp sides did. Like he was that influential.
So if we're talking about peaks, and what Dougie said, who's had a longer peak in from what we've seen in the Premier League?
The longest peak,
Bruno.
But he is older.
But he's also 29 and Odegaard's 24.
But also when Odegaard came in, it didn't click straight away. Like it was
pretty good when
he was all right. He wasn't this player.
His loan period was pretty.
But he was also very young.
Yeah, fair.
Okay, all right. Points to Joe McCubbin.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go, Zach.
Because they went against their clubs.
All right then, guys. Okay, on to our next bit. You're only going to have to put one word down for this, so no more start, bench, sell. All you have to put is true or false. So you can put T or F.
Okay.
And I'm going to say some statements to you.
Okay, I like this.
And then you guys are going to write down what you think.
Gosh.
The first statement.
Be easy, brother.
Erik ten Hag has done a great job at Manchester United.
Great.
True
That
or
word,
false?
that word selection. You know exactly.
Eric
what
Ten
you're
Hag
doing.
has done a great
Yeah.
job at Manchester United.
It's that word selection is pathetic because you know exactly what you're doing.
Almost like I've thought about
Planned
this.
it.
3, 2, 1, reveal. False versus true.
Great's just a very strong word.
Yeah, great.
It's very
Great.
strong.
Great
It's
is
a
a
strong
strong word.
subjective as well.
No,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like if we're actually talking about
Yeah.
where he picked the squad up from, yeah, and what they
The
achieved
worst in the
last
history
season,
of Manchester United Premier League
like
wise.
it was genuinely so bad that we were thinking about which manager could come in and do anything, like get them in any type of European conversation. He had so much to do with the Ronaldo discourse, playing the defense that he had, stripping Maguire of captaincy, like making it work with the takeover. He's had to deal with a lot. Getting third and then winning a trophy is incredible, in my opinion, because United were that bad, and like we've said, they have most of the eyes on them constantly. This season, you can say it started terribly, but you can't. This is what I was saying in Monday Vibes. Yeah, you can't take away the fact that injuries are shagging their team as well. Like it is something that he has to deal with, and yes, you might say he's not dealing with it incredibly, but the fact of the matter is, when you have injuries and he's almost trying to set a new standard because he got rid of De Gea. He's stripped Maguire of captaincy. He's trying to do so much with the team now. Yeah, when you have players injured that are going to be pivotal to that, it might be hard and there might be teething issues and you might get wiped by Brighton. Doesn't mean that it's going to be the case forever, but I think for what he's done since he's come in, I think he's done
A great job.
I think he's
I
done
think
a
first
good
season was
great.
Okay.
First season was
Good,
great.
great.
First
Yeah.
season was
And
great.
we're only 5 games in.
First
Yeah.
season was
Exactly.
great.
Very good to great.
Second season has been second season so far has been poor, but 5 games compared to Manchester United playing, I think
I'm
the
actually gonna
most
change.
minutes, the most games.
Love that.
I think last season United played the
Bismuth.
most games
Love
of
that.
any team in Europe. So I think, given that you're weighing up maybe 60 games against 4 or 5, I think you have to kind of side on what happened last season more than this season so far. And I think it was a great season for Ten Hag first season.
Even
last
with
year.
all the money you spent.
No, but you say that.
That's a different. That's a
you
different
say, you
question.
say that,
No,
but the
that's part of the-
No,
that's
but
part of
the
dealing with it.
resource that he's had to compared to other top clubs, yeah, you can say that they spent money and
They have.
They
spent serious cash.
have spent money, but for example, in January, it was clear they didn't have bread to bring in
Yeah,
the
the
money
striker.
the striker that they
He
wanted.
signed
So he's
7
been
loan
in your
players.
ear.
They brought in. No, I'm trying to just
No,
be
He signed
honest.
7 loan
I'm trying to
players.
be honest.
No, I agree.
Like they got loan players in, and he made it work to get them to 2 finals. Like
Yeah.
bro,
Weghorst played nearly every game.
He did a very good job. I just think great is such a big word. Like in
Yeah,
the
it's
Premier
some
League
stuff.
right
If
now,
it was good,
who is
would
doing
you
a
be in
great
truth?
job? I think Arteta's doing a great job. I think Pep's doing a great job. I think De
They're doing
Zerbi's
better
doing a
than
great
great
job,
jobs.
and like Thomas Frank's doing a great job.
Eddie
I
Howe.
don't really have that many people in the great job category.
De Zerbi's
What would he
doing
be
better
for
than a
you?
great
Good.
job.
I think Ten Hag's done a very good job.
Okay,
Very
no, wait,
good.
so
Great.
no, if the season hadn't started, yeah,
It's
and we asked you,
semantics, man.
we asked you at the
Yeah.
start of the
It's
season,
pointless
would
thing,
you have
it's
said
the whole
great?
point.
Yeah, I think
I would
for me,
say, but I think it is noticeable how they do have a lot of injuries at the moment. But they do look pretty lost, like in terms of their tactics, in terms of their squad cohesion. Like every team does go through injuries at various points, but Man United's drop off when they get a few injuries is massive. And he's been here for 1 season and 5 games or whatever.
I feel like I'm
but
rating
I'd
United
expect
too
a
much. I
little
think
bit
we're a little
more.
bit
no, I think, yeah, but I think that's a squad building issue over a number of years. It's hard over just 1 year with Ten. I also think Ten Hag's been given too much responsibility in terms of transfers anyway. I said false originally just because I think the Jadon Sancho situation I think has tainted things. I think like really, he should have sorted that quicker with Sancho. I think like I think that is a taint
Whole
on him.
of
I think there are other managers who would have been able to like
This
actually
is
get a tune
semantics,
out of
man.
him.
It's just semantics.
He also spent a
But-
lot of money on one of his own players in Anthony. I don't
Yeah.
think that's been a great boon.
We saw the
Like,
reports
yeah,
recently
clearly.
that
Great.
the Amrabat stuff, United's
And Højlund,
part
they did.
didn't
But
want.
you got to stop believing everything you read, man. There's more rubbish printed about Man United than any other team. Like all these
I
reports
mean-
that like.
I think if
I've
Ten
said this
Ten
for a long
Hag
time.
wasn't in charge of United, though, you wouldn't have bought Anthony.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, but that's not the
you
reports.
wouldn't have
That's
spent-
not the reports he's referring to.
Oh, I'm
he's
not
referring
referring
to
to
the
that.
wasn't in
Manchester United
charge-
recruitment team leaking reports that Amrabat
Oh, he's
was
too in
not a
charge.
target
Yeah,
and was
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
And
have the
Højlund.
Oh, I
legs.
ignore that. But yeah, he, not every one of his signings, and particularly the big money one, hasn't come
Yeah,
off.
it's not worked. I agree.
And I think Højlund was an overpay as well, as much as promising as he looks.
Yeah. But I do think generally, given the circumstances, to get United's third
So
last year was
really,
very,
you're
very
saying
impressive.
very good.
I think
like,
good,
very good.
good to
I would
very
say
good.
good as well. It's
And
semantics.
he's
this
changed
one. It's
because of
tough.
my
Yeah,
argument.
but that's the whole point.
Just saying.
Yeah,
As
give a point
putting
to Sam.
great.
That was
Point to
well
Sam.
argued.
Thank
Point
you
to
very
Sam.
much.
Point to
Well
Sam.
done,
It's in
United fan.
I need
Okay
to
then.
hey, stop the United's questions though, because this is getting a bit.
Well,
too
we
much
will
now,
be,
bro.
and
You are
going-
looking for a loan, aren't you?
We'll be going over to West London for this
We've
next
swapped.
one. True or false? Maurizio Pochettino will be in charge of Chelsea at the start of next season. 3, 2, 1.
Nope.
False. All right, so McCubbs, you're the false one.
Yeah, I'm the false.
You go first.
I'm surprised there's not more falses around here, given Chelsea's track record under the current ownership.
But what type of track record though? Because no.
Obviously firing three managers last season.
Yeah,
but I say that because Graham Potter was given time. I'm sorry if you have a club that like Chelsea in a position that they were in without the lack of without the identity there. You don't have a reason to say, "Oh, I deserve more time, bro."
But are you seeing the identity right now at Chelsea?
I've seen what he tried to do in pre-season, and I saw
But it's
how
not pre-season now.
Okay, and I saw how
think you can see an
and I
identity.
saw and I
Yeah, there is
saw
an
and
identity.
even
There was
the
some
starting
identity,
games.
of
But
course.
I'm also seeing the fact that how injuries have shaped how the standard that he's trying to set. And I'm saying this with most of these teams that are trying to start new ideologies and new ways of playing. Like this is normal. We've seen the overturn at Chelsea, bro. We've lost like 13 or so players. We brought in how many youngsters? You expecting it to click
No, I
5
agree.
games
I agree
in
with
is
that. I
just not
definitely agree with
realistic.
that. I
bro.
agree.
No, I'm not expecting it to click 5 games in, but I think the ownership will be expecting it to have clicked by halfway through the season. And I don't know necessarily. Like I actually think the Chelsea performances have been fine, all things considered. But I still think this is the hardest top level job any manager's taken on, like in world football, in recent times. Like it's really, really tough just because of the circumstances, just because it's a completely new squad. Like most players haven't been there for over a year. No one knows each other. Completely new ownership.
Now some of them know each
I'm
other.
not
Sorry?
involved in this, by the way.
So,
at all.
but I just think if it comes to January or February and Chelsea are outside of the top 6, 7 and performances have dropped off, because this is what I worry about, is that performances may be good for a while, but if the results don't start coming in, which they haven't yet, despite Chelsea having had a fairly favourable opening
The
few
easiest
games,
opening game of any team. in the
like if the results don't start coming and then the feeling around the ground starts to get bad and the performances then drop off, which we saw at points with Potter. Like there were points under Potter where Chelsea were absolutely fine, but they just got a bit unlucky in games. Like, and then there were absolute horror shows as well. Like I think that this ownership of Chelsea has shown that they're not afraid to pull the trigger. Like they did do it on 2 managers last year.
I just think for me that Pochettino, like he is the project guy there. Like I actually think at this stage they almost can't afford to sack him. Like I think if they were to sack him, it would be the most damning,
Catastrophic.
embarrassing, embarrassment of almost for them than the club. Like I think it would be a massively damning indictment of them.
It was for Potter as well. It was,
But I think even more
massively-
so second time.
Pochettino's
Yeah, it
a
doesn't
bigger
matter, though.
name. He's got a better reputation. Like, I think it's very difficult to attract a really top manager to this project after if they're struggling halfway through the season and get rid of Pochettino. Does someone like? I mean,
And
Nagelsmann
it's
But also,
is
also let's remember
Frankie
this.
Lampard.
Let's remember this is the start of next season. So even if Poch were to secure, like I don't know, a relatively respectable position, or whatever, and the pressure wasn't too much on him, if suddenly another top level manager becomes available towards the end of the season, I wouldn't be that surprised. I just wouldn't.
No, but I just don't. I feel like with what you said,
Good point.
you
Really good point.
started with saying that Chelsea haven't played that bad. You said that Poch, it looks like he knows what he's doing. You said it would be catastrophic if they were to.
That's why I put true, mate, and that's why I do. You put true.
But he also said something along those lines. So that's why I think with your hypothetical scenarios of things getting worse, even though you think we're playing all right, it only looks like if we get those
Things will
players
get
back, if we get those players back, things can only get better.
Hey,
Quoting Tony Blair now.
but they realistically will get better, and I'm completely on board with Joe's point. Like it would be so embarrassing for the ownership to have fired Tuchel, Potter,
Bruno.
Poch.
and Lampard. Bruno had one game. And
Bruno's still
Poch,
there.
in the space of 2 years, spent over £1 billion, signed over 25 players by that stage, probably. Like they can't afford to get rid of him.
Poch has a plan, man.
All right.
I don't know.
All right.
Like we've said they can't afford to do all sorts of things over the last year, and they've proved us wrong
Exactly.
time and time again.
Exactly. Okay, points towards Joe Tomlinson and Michael McCubbin.
How did
Cheers,
Joe
thank
get?
you.
Actually,
I
can I
made
give
a
2
good
points to
point.
McCubbin?
I made a
Oh.
good point about the
For
embarrassment
McCubbin
of
had a
the-
really good answer there.
No, but that doesn't
Thank
warrant 2 points. Just give him a point.
No, give
That's
him
a
two.
point off this guy.
Give him two.
Yeah, no,
No
don't-
moaning.
Okay,
No moaning.
over to our next one.
I need to step on it.
All right.
I'm getting left behind back here.
True or false?
It's time to get controversial.
Spurs will finish in the top 4 this season.
Oh,
Obviously, started fantastically well this campaign. Ange Postecoglou has got them firing. This weekend, the North London derby. Where is
there
it?
we go.
At the Emirates.
I see what you're doing here,
At the
Dukes.
Emirates.
I see. What you're
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
He-
Reveal. I mean, he's already
doing.
revealed.
Yeah.
True to Dougie Critchley, false to
That's
everybody
just
else.
not going
Dougie,
against the grain,
go ahead.
going outrageous.
It's happening. It's happening. There's a movement in North London. There's a tidal wave of feeling flowing around that football club. Look, it is a long shot. I don't think it will be by...
Yep.
They'll scrape in if they do make it. But I don't think I've got that much, conviction right now that Man United will 100% be in the top 4. I don't think Liverpool will 100% be in the top 4. I think they look all over the place defensively.
Liverpool.
Really,
Liverpool.
dog.
Come on, look at that
Liverpool.
attack.
Really, bro.
Look at that attack.
Seriously.
Really.
They have had come back.
here.
They have
No,
had to come
really,
back
really.
in
Dude.
3 of their 5
Liverpool
games.
are legitimate title contenders this season.
Their defense is not fixed by any means.
They are
will be,
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
They will be
They're
4th
still
or
second.
3rd by any means.
Or
I think
wherever-
Newcastle will be
wherever.
distracted by continental football and haven't started very well. I think the major threat is probably Brighton. I think it'll be
There's 5
Man
teams
City,
ahead of
Arsenal,
them.
Brighton, and then I think it's a dogfight. And Spurs could very feasibly get in there.
Liverpool are clearly the 3rd best team in the country.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
yeah.
They are very much title contenders with the firepower they've got going forward.
But
and
not
midfield,
at the back.
The midfield
Not at the back.
depth.
They have, in every game they played, and I know they've had a couple of red cards, but they have looked
And
incredibly
injuries.
susceptible.
With no Trent.
Yeah, and injuries, but
Kanate, no Van Dijk. Those
Okay, there's
players
other
are gonna
teams
come
that
back.
have. There's other teams that
Let's
have
say
injuries.
Tottenham have the same injury problems. The right back, both centre backs injured. So,
But the
no
vibes will
Porro,
carry them through.
no, no Romero.
Right, you're gonna
Really
have
vibes
Ash.
at right
You're gonna
back.
have Ash Phillips, 18-year-old Ash Phillips, and 16-year-old. Oh no, he's
if you
he's
match
still
up
at,
those injury
he's
problems, you
still in
match up,
Croatia, but-
let's say, the Liverpool back
But
line
I'm
injury problems.
just more concerned that
Chelsea's injury
Liverpool's are
problems.
more
Man
systemic.
United's injury problems at Tottenham.
Yeah, but
It's an
these guys could be
absolute
5-6
disaster.
points ahead.
It's an
No,
absolute
but
6
it's-
points is nothing in
they're-
the course of the season.
Yeah, they are
I think
riding. They're
they've got
riding.
more depth in a lot of areas than you think.
No, they don't.
Where's the
They-
depth
Not in defence.
They don't.
At
though.
centre back, I think Eric Dyer is not as bad as people make out. And it's
What
a-
happens
Not
if
even in the
what,
matchday squads.
what happens
could
if
be. He
Basuma
wasn't
gets
the last
injured?
one.
Ben Davies could be.
What happens if Basuma gets injured?
Basuma, you could play Skip there. You could play Højbjerg, still a perfect
Then
service, right?
that drop off is.
It's big, but you say that about every
Huge.
club. If Szoboszlai gets injured, or
But that's
let's
what I'm
say
saying.
Szoboszlai, but Van Dijk, you have to play Gomez and Matip, or Konate's never fit.
But it's a different
Liverpool,
level.
if Robertson gets injured, Tsimikas is not the same level. They still don't have a right back.
I think
after Trent.
Postecoglou is doing an amazing job, and he's got them cooking. He has got them
Yeah,
cooking.
yeah.
But ever since I can remember football, I feel like Tottenham start the season well. Last season under Conte,
It's
it was
the
the
best
best
season
season,
start,
best
yeah.
start to a season in history.
But it's the best start
Like-
since the mid '60s.
And I understand.
You know what
he
happened that
started the
year?
season well. They definitely
actually finished
play
eighth.
nice. They play nice football. There's no denying they play nice football. But the crunch is going to come when 2 or 3 injuries start to happen. Basuma has never been a consistent injury-free footballer. Maddison has never been a consistent injury-free footballer. If injury problems start to happen in certain areas, don't know how Bentancur is going to return.
They've got no Euro.
I think.
Got no Europe.
I don't
It's a very
care
good
they've
point,
got no
Zach.
Europe.
Thank you very much.
Maddison has never played.
Super
in-
Brennan Johnson coming off the bench.
Maddison has never played in Europe, and he's still never started 30 Premier League games.
That's not true. The Leicester have been in Europe.
Was he in that
Madison-
squad?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, right, he's played one season
Conference
in Europe
League.
then. Conference League.
Yeah,
My
No,
bad.
I think even maybe Europa. Maybe.
No, but
Yeah,
I
it's
think
Europa.
I see what you're
Continue,
trying to
mate.
do here, Dukes. But the reality is, I know you don't believe that because
Yeah,
I know
it's
that
true.
you know
He
that
doesn't
there are
believe
there are
it. He
there are
doesn't
four
believe it.
there are 4 other teams that are clearly better
Who's
than
the 4
I'm
teams
Spurs.
that's
just
clearly
pleased.
better? There's not 4 teams that. I'm sorry. There's not 4 teams that are clearly better than Spurs right now.
Brighton, Liverpool, Arsenal, City.
I don't think Brighton are
Are we watching
clearly better
different
than
Liverpool
Spurs right
games?
now.
I think
I'm
Brighton
going
are-
against myself a little bit, but it's
No,
very
no,
tight between the two.
Brighton.
I don't know.
What? Brighton
come
are. I would put them
I think
top
Brighton would
3.
be thrilled.
I put them above Liverpool right now, bro. They made 6 changes against United at Old Trafford, and they
Battered you.
still battered you, bro.
Yeah.
Like that's a different type of comfortability.
We are in September.
Yes, but that's still comfortability. That means all the injuries that.
I like that. That's a great one.
It works. We all know what he means.
Yeah. I think it actually might be a word. I actually think it might be.
But all the changes that you're talking about with Spurs, if they get injured, bro, Brighton are doing those changes without injuries and they're still fine.
Brighton are cooking. There's no doubt
Exactly,
Brighton are cooking, but they've not played a minute of the Europa League yet. They've not played a minute of the Europa League.
But that's what I'm saying. With this squad depth, it looks like they will be fine. Like Spurs, you can say that
away from the main point.
They're riding a wave. Spurs are riding a wave at the moment, yeah. But they're looking very comfortable. If one tide just hits them, whether it be injuries or 2 bad results, I want to see how they bounce back from that.
Guys,
and I think that could be something that
no one saw Newcastle finishing the top 4. If we're being realistic at the start of last year, it takes a couple of bad years from the big boys. Chelsea and United look way off it. Spurs will be in contention.
They'll be in contention.
No European football.
If there hadn't been 12 minutes added on and Spurs hadn't got the 2 winners against the 2 goals against Sheffield United, would you have had them top 4?
There's still enough signs. They had nearly 30 shots.
I know, but would you have had them top 4?
West Fodringham was on absolute peds.
Would you have had them top 4 if they'd lost 1-0 at home to Sheffield United?
The mood would be different, but the vibes.
But they didn't. Okay.
The mood and the vibes. 2 different
Okay. You know what, Diggs? I know what you're doing, but you did batter your point. Well, you do get a point.
Thank you.
You do get a point.
Yeah, they're not really nasty.
just Dukes.
I'm gonna. Yeah, just do you.
Respect that.
I think you did well though, Sam. I think you did very well.
You just.
Okay, on to
I'm
our.
trying to get. A
You
point
got lost
this
with
way.
Brighton.
Yeah,
But
you did a
that was a
little
good
bit.
tangent, though.
Well,
that was
I
a little.
thought it was relevant.
Exactly.
Well, it doesn't matter. He's not going to point. On to our next one. Okay, then. True or false? Everton will get relegated.
Oh, it depends, though.
See, Sean Dyche
couple of
currently
factors.
manager.
Yeah, there are.
Got new owners in.
Yeah.
Those owners.
Reveal. True, false.
I'm up against it here.
So you think they won't go down?
I think they might just scrape it. I just
Again.
still think. I think they might scrape it again, and like all the omens are against them. 7 partners. You know, Hertz-Berlin going down last year. They do seem to have a little bit of a kiss of death with a few clubs. Not that Hertz-Berlin were not in a great place before that. Let's be honest. Yeah.
Neither Everton.
They seem to have a bit of a track record actually with just taking over clubs that are in decline. But I just think that Everton's squad is still more than good enough to stay up. It's really mismatched. It's horrible. I think Sean Dyche is under serious pressure, and I think Sean Dyche may get the sack soon. Like, I think that might happen. Their form is very, very worrying. But I still think in defence, midfield, again, mismatched in Iwobi, bad sale that. But up top, Danjuma, Beto, Dwight McNeil when he's on song, like I think they still have... I think they still have a squad that is easily good enough to stay up, and that's kind of what's kept them up in the last 2 years. I can see it happening again because I just think that the bottom half of the Premier League is really, really poor. Like it's really, really poor. I think they have
squads are worse than Everton's.
Sheffield United, Luton,
and
I'd say Burnley potentially.
You know what?
I think Burnley's a very young squad. Let's remember as well.
I feel like you're using that like as a main point. When we saw last season, Leicester squad were very decent, Leeds squad were very decent as well, but
and Everton still managed to stay up.
Everton managed, but they scraped it. Now they're even like I feel like they're in a position where
I think they're up against worse teams now. in that relegation battle.
But I feel like they're in a worse position. I think when Sean Dyche came in, it looked like they were turning the tide a little bit. Yeah, this season they've started. He's gone back to basics, and they're just 2 banks of 4 and defending, trying to launch the ball up to the striker. And I just don't think they're going to be able to do that all season. Yes, you say
they won't because Sean Dyche.
You say they could sack him, but the reality is Everton have historically done very bad in replacing their managers. Like the show in replacing their manager is always.
You say that
long-winded.
Dyche kept them up. Allardyce kept them up.
Lampard
They always go through about 3 candidates.
It takes that long, but also it's been like marginal. Now I think
that margin's all that matters for them, isn't it?
But now I think it's just
Also, don't underestimate the power of Goodison because really it's the power of Goodison that kept them up. last year and the
Goodison
year
sounded
before.
flat at the weekend.
Yeah, it won't sound flat in April when they've got, they've got to win 4 games in a row to stay up, and they do it.
No, it's a good point. It's a good point. It will
the
be
blue
different
flares
in
of the
April.
outing. That was
just-
brilliant.
I just think I predicted them to go down at the start of the season, and I kind of wanted to, even though the last round I was kind of being controversial to get a point, I actually just wanted to stay true to my beliefs because I think they have been asking for it for a while, and I think the clubs that we thought would be in around them are a little bit better than I thought, at least. I thought Wolves would be
Wolves,
worse
innit?
than
Yeah,
they are.
for sure.
I thought Fulham, with João Palhinha staying, I think they might stay up. They've got a top goalkeeper. They've got some sources of goals around that side. It's Burnley, really, between Burnley and Everton for me. And I think Forest look better than they did last year as well. And I think Everton they
It's a
can't get
feeling.
it going
It's
forward.
a feeling around the club.
Yeah.
I just get that like death knock. It's just
And-
like slowly creeping in the background
Yeah.
again.
I think the fans know it as well.
And getting those owners, not saying obviously we don't know them personally, innit? But like, fam, actually seeing what they've seeing what they've
Give us
done,
a few weeks.
seeing what they've done at Hertha Berlin, and the fact that like they're already like protesting at stadiums saying like you don't care about the club and that, and what Everton fans have gone through. If they have a little whiff of that energy being in and around their new owners, it's gonna get toxic.
What they
bro.
need is full focus on one club. It's not the time to be bought by a group that owns multiple
Okay.
clubs that are all doing badly.
All right. Point 2. Michael McCoven.
Oh,
Again,
yeah.
he's done very well.
He's having a great round. Great
That's how to
week.
do it, guys.
being controversial.
You've got to be a contrarian.
You just gotta just say the opposite.
All right, then, guys, on to our last one.
I'm just gonna say whatever.
True or false?
Can't believe you've not done that yet.
De Zerbi will be Pep Guardiola's successor.
Oh, no doubt.
In 3, 2, 1, reveal.
I wanna change now.
Doogie with true.
No shot. No
Really?
shot.
Doogie with true? Okay, Doogs, why do you believe it?
Who else?
Mick Arteta.
Arteta boy.
No. I think it's too awkward now to go from Arsenal to Man City after fighting for the league for so long. And I think Arsenal
Oh,
will fight for the league.
That
for them.
doesn't mean that.
I
much,
seriously,
bro.
I doubt Arteta would do it. He's such an Arsenal man. I think De Zerbi, he loves Arsenal, despite the fact he was at Everton like as long or maybe even longer. He hates Everton, loves Arsenal.
So
But
could go to Everton.
De Zerbi, I think everyone a few years ago was like, oh, it'll probably be Nagelsmann. It won't be Nagelsmann now unless something dramatically happens in the next
But
2
that's
years.
the issue. That's the issue right there. A couple of years ago, it would have been Nagelsmann. A couple of years from now, De Zerbi is going to be at a
But De
super club.
Zerbi's been
Already at a super club. He's not going to be at Brighton still in 2 years' time. And Pep's here till 2025.
It's a good point. I mean, 2025 is only the year after next. De Zerbi could
De
feasibly stay
Zerbi's not
around.
going to be still Brighton
Well,
manager.
once he
come
finishes
start
in the
next
top
season,
4
man.
with Spurs this year, you know,
He'll be at
things
Milan
are on
or
the run.
somewhere.
De Zerbi will be at a super club by the time Pep vacates that role.
Yeah.
But then,
Well,
is there a
that's-
more attractive position than taking over Man City
Potentially,
with a
Carlo
bottomless
Ancelotti's
pit?
leaving at the end of the season, is he not?
Yeah, but then I think at that stage they'll probably get Xabi Alonso. Like they need someone sooner
I
than
think
De Zerbi.
De Zerbi
Also,
is-
Real Madrid, I don't think go shopping for managers at Brighton, whereas Man City are
I
much
think
more
De Zerbi is going to
sensible,
be
less
one of the most
glitzy.
sought after managers in the world come the end of this season, and there's going to be major vacations in positions across Europe. I think the PSG job will be available again. You can almost guarantee that.
He
The
won't want to take
Juventus job
PSG.
will be available. The Milan job definitely be available.
Napoli might be
Pioli's on his
available.
arse. Napoli probably will be available actually.
They might be. They might
There'll be at least another Premier League sacking
I think
amongst the top
Brighton
six.
could persuade him to stay for another year if they finish, as I expect, in the top 5-6 this year. I think he could stay another year and waltz over to Man City.
I also
the most
think-
settled structure in world football as well, with a bottomless
is
pit
Pep
of
actually going to
cash.
leave in 2025? He said he was going to.
Yeah,
he's
I
supposed to
agree.
be gone by
He might
now.
be there
I'm not
till
sure he's
25.
going to
we
leave.
still need to answer the question with somebody.
Also, do we actually think, like, I love De Zerbi, he plays amazing football. He is one of the most notorious hotheads in world football.
Facts.
Notorious. And Manchester City do not hire hotheads in any position from top to bottom. Do we see Tiki Begaristan going out and going, fantastic, he plays amazing football, but he is electric.
It's all
De
about-
Zerbi, he will be
It's all about
booting
growth,
off.
though.
And
I mean, he could have calmed down by then. I'm sure if
He's never gonna
if
calm
the City
down, man.
hierarchy
No.
are like, look, you need to, we kind of got a structure going here.
Mate,
You just need to
De
turn it
Zerbi's
down a
De
little bit. I'm sure
Zerbi.
he'll do it.
De Zerbi,
I think.
De
I
Zerbi.
think. I think
the
Man
gel in
City.
his hair,
Yeah,
bro.
I think Man City to replace
coming down.
Guardiola, you have to replace him with a manager who has managed at an elite club
But
already.
I still haven't heard a good candidate to take over Man
Arteta.
City other than De Zerbi.
Arteta.
It's not happening.
I can see-
I feel like it's just it from what
You're all
we,
thinking he might be at another club, but
No,
who's
from what-
taking over instead
I
of...
can see
from what
Man
we see
City
from what
going
we see
from
at
within.
Arsenal. For who?
Going for someone within.
He's at Leicester now.
Yeah, I can see Man City having that sort of production
for sure.
path ready to go.
I think
Yeah,
they
I
were
agree.
planning that with Patrick Vieira, probably
Paddy
hasn't done
V.
enough. I
Xavi.
can't see it. I think even if he takes a job next summer, he'll have a year at Milan, say, and if Man City come in for him, then perfect.
No, I don't think. I think the step up might be too big though. Like people
For De Zerbi,
for
he can manage anyone in the world.
to
mate.
go from Brighton to Manchester City. I think that you
He's a bit
underestimate.
scarred by
I feel like
Potter.
you
You're
under.
scarred
But
by
I
Potter.
genuinely
Bro.
think people underestimate what it is to go from
Yeah.
a team that isn't expected to be in the top 4 and challenging for all these trophies to the best team in the land.
I'd agree
Like
with
it's
you,
not.
but
it's-
there aren't that many other great candidates.
Yeah, that's okay,
Right
but
now
but
there
if you
are.
if you're
2
if you're
years'
talking if
time.
you're talking about a City, yeah, even if you look at the people that have managed in the past, Pellegrini, Mancini, all of these other managers, they've won trophies elsewhere. They've seen some success in these other places. Bro, Brighton is that the success that we've seen is getting to a final top 5, 6. That ain't enough for what we've seen from City in the last few
be,
years.
man.
But that doesn't mean that
it's
he
not-
couldn't
it's
achieve
not
that
though.
there. But I
He
think,
could
yeah, I
achieve
think
No,
the,
but we
the
haven't
pressure.
we haven't seen them do that in
Pressure's
the past.
different.
The
I
way he
understand the
generates
pressure's
funds, the
different,
way he like gets his side playing. I
But they
think
don't
they
But
care
that's
about
also
generating
also
funds,
down
man.
that's also down to
Man City
Brighton
do,
though.
definitely.
Nah,
They play-
that's down
they
to
play-
Brighton
Man
as well.
City are not going to be
Man
selling their
City can
best
do
player.
that without him.
Man City are not going to
don't-
be selling their best player.
And also,
because
it's probably
he
not-
No,
deserves
they're
the
not,
trophy.
but they are quite keen to generate a squad in the way
but
that
they do that
sell
anyway.
better than any other
They
club.
do that
pretty
anyway.
much
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
because they
Premier
do it
League.
with their. Pep has had almost no input in that, to be honest. Like they
I don't know.
made.
He got rid of Cancelo. That was probably his call.
Yeah, but their funds have
Yeah,
all been
but-
generated by players like James Trafford. It's all been like Cole Palmer. Like this
They
is
still,
where
they
their
still
funds
sold
been
a lot. I mean,
generated by.
Zinchenko, Gabriel Jesus.
But this is not
Sterling,
down. That's not
Sane.
down to Pep Guardiola, is it?
How do you
Like,
know?
What Cole Palmer could barely get a minute. That's how I know. But he's still
Yeah,
getting
but Cole
sold on
Palmer isn't
reputation
the
of Man
prime
City.
example of like a City star being sold.
No, but I think if you looked at the majority sale money that's come into Manchester City over the years, it's players like Romeo Lavia, James Trafford.
I don't know. Even because you
They
need to
sell
sell about
academies
3 of
better than
those to
ever.
make the fund of a Raheem Sterling.
But also, you have to consider that they sold someone like Jesus because they were getting in someone like Haaland, who was attracted to City, probably in big part because Pep Guardiola was there. I just don't think De Zerbi at this point in his career, or even
Has
maybe
that, man.
in a year
He
or
ain't
two,
got that yet.
has that pull for the best players
But does
in
anyone?
the world.
Does anyone have the pull
Pep
of Guardiola?
does.
Pep does,
Obviously,
Pep
Pep
does.
does. He has his
Yeah.
entire
But the question
career.
is,
Ancelotti
who
does
is
as well.
replacing him? So
He's got
what
a
is
good
the
point.
point of saying who's got the same pull as Pep?
No, but you're acting like so. Are you saying
super-
that De
so
Zerbi?
who has
Wait.
which
Are
other
you saying?
managers?
No, wait. Are you saying De Zerbi is the next manager in line that is like the top manager
I think
in
if it
Europe?
was decided tomorrow, De Zerbi would be my number 1 candidate to replace Pep.
That is just that's
Who would be yours?
Arteta because of not just because of what they've done at each club. Like
Yeah.
in terms
I
of
agree.
Arsenal, he's done incredible. But he came from City. Like I do think that they want someone that knows the club, that has been
If they could
around
get
it,
Arteta, they'd get
and he's
Arteta.
and he's
I think they'd
clear.
look
He's
at it. I
clearly.
just don't think that
he
he'd
was
leave.
clearly being taught to be that guy. I know Pep didn't want to let him go. He ain't shouting at me, but I know he didn't want to let him go. Now he wanted
Because
to go
he's
to
obsessed
Arsenal.
with Arsenal. He wanted to
Yeah.
go because he's obsessed with Arsenal.
All right, I'm going to put my hand down. It's interesting. Couldn't think of the word. Gauntlet. I couldn't remember it. Anyway,
down, no?
it's interesting. I wonder if when they left, I wonder if that was the idea when Arteta first left, was him to take over, but then they didn't expect it to go so well so quickly. Okay, point to Joe.
Tesco.
Point to Dougie.
Nice.
All right. All right. Coming in at last,
Gosh.
Abasaki.
Oh.
I thought you fought really. I thought you fought hard. I think you fought hard. You're actually unlucky.
Zach don't give me
You're
five.
actually
I thought you
unlucky.
did really well,
I thought you did very well.
That
as well.
sounds patronising.
I thought you did
Nah,
very well.
I know. You know
The
when
issue
you
is-
have a feeling,
Robbed.
but
He
it's
was
just
robbed.
The issue is you
vigilator.
can't
It's
give
just not
points out
feeling
to
you.
everybody because then it's just like, well, this is a
You
pointless
can
and
because you
what.
gave him 2 at once.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but-
That
crazy.
was very generous.
Yeah.
Who's next?
We'll be interested to see what
deserved as
happens
well.
there. Exactly. Coming in third
Well done. You can add up.
is Dougie Critchley.
Oh, well
Lucky
played.
dudes. That controversial one.
That
pulled you over the line,
controversial. I'm gonna be like you,
I
man.
started by calling myself God as well.
I'm winning by a point.
man. Oh.
It's Michael
Well
McCubbin.
played.
Bosh.
Well, there we have it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Team Talk. If you have enjoyed it and want to see more, then check out the YouTube playlist. Check out everything else we're putting on Football Daily as well. Sunday Vibes, Continental Club, Monday Vibes, Top 10s, you know it. The quiz, if you've not seen that from last month. And we'll see you guys very, very soon. Get in the comments, let us know as well what other subjects we should do and who you want to see on
Wrap
the
it
show.
up, man.
We'll see you in a bit.
Peace.
Bye.